Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Synchron Stardust deck profiles. I'm really excited with this one because this deck is absolutely crazy in what it can do, and summoning out amazing monsters like Shooting Star Dragon, Shooting Quasar Dragon, and Stardust Dragon. So, without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in the description of a single video, getting a signed card in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon along with test hand. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Junk Converter. So Junk Converter is a really powerful, amazing card in this deck that has the ability to discard this card and any other tuner to add a Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a Synchro material, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but it can't activate its effects this turn, which is a really awesome effect just to be able to grab your Junk Synchron directly out of your deck to be able to bring this back to go into Junk Speeder with the greatest of ease. We then play 3 copies of Doppel Warrior. Doppel Warrior is really good too because when a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as Synchro material, you get to special summon 2 Doppel tokens to your side of the field that are level 1, which is a really awesome effect just to give you those additional tokens on your side of the field to use as Synchro material. We then play 3 copies of Synchron Carrier. Synchron Carrier is really good in this deck too because during your main phase, you can normal summon an additional Synchron monster in addition to your normal summoner set, and if another Synchron monster is sent to the graveyard as material for the Synchro summon of a warrior or machine Synchro monster, while you control this card, you can special summon 1 Synchron tuner machine, Earth, level 2, 1000 attack and 0 defense, and you only use the effect of this card once per turn, which is a really awesome effect. We then play 2 copies of Boost Warrior. If you control a face-up tuner monster, you can instantly special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect just to be able to get you an additional monster. 1 copy of Quibbled Hedgehog. Quibbled Hedgehog can special summon itself if you control a tuner monster from your graveyard, and if this card is special summoned this way, you have to remove it from the field or you remove it from play when it leaves the field, which is still a pretty good effect just to get you an additional monster. We have a 2 copy of Junk Servant. Junk Servant has a really awesome ability to control a face-up junk monster. You can special summon this card from your hand. It's a card that I've been playtesting around with from the previous build. I really am liking this card because you play the Junk Converters, you play your copies of your Junk Synchron, and you just have a lot of utility with this card just to be able to get it on your side of the field. Junk Speeder, you have just a lot of different plays with this card, and it helps out a little bit to give you another level 4 monster, or a level 4 monster in the deck to go into Synchro plays with. We then play a surprise tech card in this deck, which is a single copy of Quick Draw Synchron. So I've actually thrown Quick Draw Synchron into this deck because you can actually go for Ultimate to Tzolk'in if you go in for the Quick Draw Synchron play, and it's just a little bit of a different build from the previous one where you actually can go into Ultimate to Tzolk'in in this particular build to turbo out your copy of Stardust Dragon or Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon because your copy of your Junk Speeder is a level 5 and this can be special summoned off the Junk Speeder. So essentially for a level 5 Synchro monster, you can immediately go for your copy of Ultimate to Tzolk'in really quickly and really easily, which is amazing about this particular card in this deck as a one of. We then play a single copy of Hyper Synchron. Hyper Synchron is really good in the deck because if this card is sent to the graveyard for the Synchro summon of a dragon type monster, then that monster gains an 800 attack, which is really cool to just give that monster extra attack points. We play 3 copies of Junk Synchron. Junk Synchron is very important for this build and is one of Yusei's ace cards as well. But what this card does is when it's normal summoned, you get to special summon 1 level 2 or lower monster from your graveyard and face-up defense, and its effects are negated. But it's still a really good card because you want to be able to just immediately normal summon this or use your copy of Junk Converter to be able to grab Junk Synchron and then be able to normal summon Synchron to be able to grab Converter back from the grave and then synchro summon these 2 together for Junk Speeder to then go into all your insane plays, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Steam Synchron. Steam Synchron is pretty good because during your opponent's turn, you can quick effect Synchro Summon, which is a neat effect for this card. It also is a level 3 tuner monster, which is nice. 1 copy of Satellite Synchron. Satellite Synchron is one of those cards I've actually been debating bumping up to 2 in this particular build, but I feel like 1 is fine. What it does is basically, if a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you have a Synchro monster with Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust in its original name on your field or graveyard, you can make this card's level become 4 until the end phase of the turn, which is pretty good just to be able to increase its upgrades level to 4, which helps you out with a lot of different plays. We play single copy of Fleur Synchron, which is basically just a level 2 Synchron monster. One copy of Cyverse Synchron. Cyverse Synchron is just here because it's a level 1, which it kind of comes out a little bit to help you out to get a additional synchro play. And one copy of Unknown Synchron because it's every other synchro tuner monster, every other tuner monster that's level 1 is actually banned right now that's really good, like Jet Synchron and a bunch of other ones. But this card is really good because if your opponent controls a monster, you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, you can only use this effect once per duel. But it's an overall really good card just to be able to special summon off your copy of Junk Speeder. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Reinforcements of the Army. Rhoda is really good in the deck because Rhoda is just going to grab your warrior monsters from your deck to your hand really fast, so you have a lot of different cards that you can actually grab out of the deck, mainly being Junk Converter that you're going to be trying to grab as quickly as possible. But you can also grab Doppel Warrior, which is another really good target for this card, or Boost Warrior, which is another really good target for it to be able to grab. And you can also grab your copy of Junk Servant with this card. So basically it's like playing additional copies of all those cards. Now, I'm playing 2 copies of Pot of Avarice now. Pot of Avarice is a card that I've actually fallen in love with in this deck. That Pot of Avarice just helps you get your cards back in the deck. It's not once per turn, and you get to select 5 monsters in your graveyard, return those targets to the deck, and then you get to draw 2, which is really good because off your copy of Junk Speeder, you can special summon up to like 5 different tuner monsters on your field. So this card can recover all of your tuner monsters, or just recover the one of Junk Speeder into the deck, which is really important to put that back in the extra deck so you can go off with additional plays, and it lets you draw 2, which is great for extensions. You play a single copy of 1 for 1. 1 for 1 is really good because you have a lot of level 1s in the deck, and getting out a level 1 synchro or tuner monster is really good. One copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is fantastic because it lets you send a card from your deck to the graveyard, which a lot of our cards react in the graveyard, like Quillbolt, Hedgehog, and other cards like that. One copy of Black Garden. Black Garden is a good card in this deck because it helps you get a lot of different plays to go off with a lot of different combos. One copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is really good as an extender play in this deck because the Monster Reborn is going to let you bring back any card from your graveyard that's a monster. 2 copies of Synchro Chase. I keep bouncing back and forth with this card. This card is really good, but if you don't want to play it, you don't have to. But I like it in this deck, and I keep bouncing back between having 1, 2, or 0 in the deck. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your Synchro monsters with Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust in their original names. And if your Synchro monster with a Warrior, Synchron, or Stardust and Synchro monster is Synchro Summon, you target 1 card in your graveyard or target a monster in your graveyard that was used as a material and special summon that target in defense position, which really helps out me a lot in this particular build because it's basically like a Monster Reborn, and it makes all of your monsters activated as effects speed spell 4s where they can't react to them or chain to them, which is really good. We then played 2 copies of Living Fossil. Living Fossil is really good in this deck too because Living Fossil just helps out with a lot of different plays. Being able to revive cards from the graveyard is just ridiculously good in this deck because it can revive level 4 or lower monsters, and it being a basically unlimited version of Monster Reborn is really good in this deck to be able to grab the exact card you need out of the deck when you need it, or not out of the deck, but out of the graveyard. Just gets you a lot of different card advantage, which is really amazing for this particular build, which is why I always recommend playing at least 2 of this. I've thought about bumping in a 3rd copy of it over one of the Synchro Chases, so that is an option for you guys if you want to go that route. But it's an overall really good card to play as a 2 of in this particular build because you get so much advantage playing the Monster Reborn and playing the copies of Synchro Chase. It just is great for revival spells. So we then play 3 copies of Tuning. Tuning is really good too because it lets you add 1 Synchro Tuner monster from your deck to your hand, and then you send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, which again, a lot of your cards really react in the graveyard. So this card is pretty good as a 3 of in the deck. Just to be able to good search out of the deck all of your cards. It really grabs Junk Synchron out of the deck the majority of the time is what I grab. And then I play 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Dark Ruler No More just shuts down my opponent's field so I can go into all my crazy plays and just make all the different things that I need to make against my opponent if I do get pushed to go second. If I get pushed to go first, it's still a good card to help OTK, or not OTK, but shut my opponent's board down so I can Synchro Summon on turn 3. But it's overall, if I do get pushed to go second, this card is fantastic in this deck. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Shooting Star Dragon. Shooting Star Dragon is a fantastic card, and yes, I did break out the first edition Ghost Rare for you guys for this profile, so definitely give us a like for this one, and don't forget to subscribe. But basically what this card does is it has to take a Synchro monster that's a tuner and a Stardust Dragon to Synchro summon in this card, which is not the hardest thing in the world anymore in this deck, because you can just get out a copy of, say, your Ultimate Tzolk'in, Special Summon Stardust, or you can get this card out by using Quasar Dragon, which is also a really good way to summon this card to your side of the field. It's an overall really amazing card, because basically what this card does for the build is it's going to let you, each time a card is activated, you get to use the effect of, or each these effects can be activated depending on once per turn, to reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and shuffle cards back into the deck, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, shuffle them back, shuffle back in, and then the cards, an equal number of tuners that were revealed that you can attack, which is really good, and it negates the activated effects of a card that would destroy a card on the field and destroy that card. Or when a opponent's monster declares an attack, you can select it and remove this card from the play and the negate the attack, and then during end phase you special summon this card back, which is pretty good just to be able to get all those different effects off, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Shooting Quasar. Quasar is really hard to get out in this deck. I mean, not really hard, but like, it's the hardest card in the deck to get out. But it's overall like one of the best cards in the entire deck to get to your side of the field. I love this card in this particular deck because it's like, once you summon this, it's like one of the hardest cards in the entire game to summon, because you got to go through so many steps to get it out. But once you do, it's just really rewarding, because what it does is it must be synchro summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. And this card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase equal to the number of non-tuner monsters used to synchro summon this card, which is usually going to be 2 that you're going to use. And then once per turn during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can negate the activation if you do destroy it, and when this card leaves the field, you can special summon a Shooting Star Dragon, which is usually how you're going to get your copy of Shooting Star Dragon to your side of the field so quickly. We then play a single copy of Stardust Dragon. Stardust Dragon is just really good in the deck. It can negate the destruction of cards on your side of the field by banishing itself. It's really easy to summon off your copy of Tzolk'in, but it's just an overall really good card to use as a synchro material to go into your copy of your Shooting Star Dragon, so its effect will go off and can actually bring itself back, so it's legit summoned. We then play a single copy of Ultimate Tzolk'in. Tzolk'in is really good in the deck too, because you're using your copy of your Quick Draw Synchron to go into this card really quickly with your copy of Junk Speeder, which is amazing. And every time you set a card to your side of the field, once per turn, you get to special summon a Synchro Dragon that's level 8 or a level 7 Synchro Dragon to your side of the field, which is really good, just to be able to get you additional plays in the deck. We play a single copy of Satellite Warrior. Satellite Warrior is really easy to summon to your side of the field, because if this card is synchro summoned, and you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of synchro monsters in the graveyard and destroy them, and then it gains 1,000 attack for every card popped, which is really good. And this is actually one of the decks that this card can actually get its second effect off, that if the synchro summon card is destroyed, you can special summon up to 3 level 8 or lower Warrior Synchro or Synchron or Stardust synchro monsters with different names from your graveyard, which is really good. This card is like one of the main cards that I summon in this deck. Crystal Wing, because it negates monster effects, and is the card I usually go for Ultimate Tzolk'in. One copy of Phaedon Dragster. This card is really good to summon to your side of the field because it's a good spell negation. TG Hyper Librarian. Hyper Librarian comes in handy because you're going to be able to draw cards every time you synchro summon. A single copy of Stardust Charge Warrior. Charge Warrior lets you draw a card when it's synchro summoned, and it's a level 6, which is really helpful. One copy of Junk Speeder, which is probably the most important card in the entire extra deck, that has the ability to its card to synchro summon. You can special summon as many Synchron tuner monsters with different names from your deck in Defense Edition, with different levels, which is really good, because you can special summon 1 through 5, which is really cool, just to get those on your side of the field. And then you can basically contact Synchro this away and your copy of Quick Draw for your copy of Ultimaya, set a card, and then go for Crystal Wing, which is really good. And it's just an overall really good card in the deck. One copy of Garden Rose Maiden. Garden Rose Maiden's really good because it lets you revive a copy of a Dragon Synchro monster from your graveyard by banishing this card from the grave. And if this card is special summon, you get to add Black Garden. One copy copy of Excel Synchron. Excel Synchron is really good because it helps you with a lot of different plays of manipulating its level, because you can manipulate its level to increase its level by the sent monster to the graveyard, because you can once per turn send a Synchron monster from your deck to the graveyard to change this card's level. So it can become anything from 1 to 5, which is really good. We play the same copy of Metal Marcher. Metal Marcher is just really good in the deck because if you discard a Synchron Summon, you can target 1 tuner monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position. 1 copy of Formula Synchron, because you're usually going to use this to go into Quasar, which is really, really good. Or go into your copy of Satellite Warrior. And then a single copy of Celestial Double Star Shaman to round out the extra deck. What this card basically does is when this card is Synchro Summon, you can special summon up to 4 level 2 non-tuner monsters from your hand or graveyard in defense position. But it's a really good card just as a later on card to summon to your side of the field to get a bunch of monsters on your side of the field to climb in different synchro plays. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It's a really fun deck to play with. I highly recommend that if you guys have never tried Synchro Summoning, this is probably the deck for you. Or if you love synchro climbing and a lot of different decks, this deck is fantastic to play around with. It is just an overall really interesting build. If you want something that's not an Ultimate Tzolk'in build, you can check out the previous build for this that I did in January. It doesn't include Ultimate Tzolk'in, but I wanted to do a different take on this deck because there's so many different ways to actually play this deck that I wanted to go for a little bit more of an Ultimate Tzolk'in, Shooting Star Dragon, and Shooting Quasar Dragon build. You can include Cosmic Blazar as well if you want to drop the Shooting Star and the copy of Quasar, throw in another level 8 dragon monster you want to summon off of Tzolk'in, and then play Blazar instead, and it frees you up an extra slot if you guys want to go that route as well. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.